This video is containing the theory of psychiatry because the actor is suffering mental illness due to his parents' unfolding divorce. Jeffrey was left home and he seized the opportunity to act the dark thoughts, and he don't know where to express his feelings because he is a young child when his parents is divorced, so he don't know where to express his feelings, so he kinda weird ones, and this video will show you how Jeffrey Dahmer is suffering mental illness.
In 1991 Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Glenda Cleveland is at home watching the news when she hears her neighbor Jeffrey Dahmer using power tools just next door. Jeff goes to his sink to clean his red tools. He leaves his apartment, and in the hallway, Glenda complains about the smell coming from his apartment. Jeff lies and tells her his meat went bad. Glenda is annoyed because he threw out a bunch of meat just the other day. Jeff lies again and tells her that the smell must be his dead fish. As he walks closer to Glenda, Glenda is visibly afraid of him. Eventually Jeff leaves the building. There's a bunch of missing poster signs of black men near a gay club called Club 219. At the club, he meets with acquaintances, including Tracy Edwards. He dances with Tracy and dances the night away. Then he asks the men if any of them want to model for him for $50. Tracy is the only one out of the three that agrees to this. Tracy and Jeff leave the club and go to his apartment. Tracy is hesitant at first, but eventually goes inside. He immediately notices the bad smell in Jeff's apartment. The camera pans to a drill with some blood on it. Then Jeff locks the door. Jeff grabs a beer, and we see a man's head on the bottom of the fridge. He pours a drink for Tracy. Tracy notices his drink is very bubbly and is suspicious of it, and only takes a sip. He wants to leave, but Jeff tells him not to leave. He even blocks the door to keep him from leaving. Tracy acts calmly the entire time, until suddenly Jeff puts him in handcuffs. Tracy calls for help, then Jeff tackles him down, then threatens him with a machete. Meanwhile, Glenda can hear the muffled conversation next door. Jeff threatens Tracy to go into the bedroom. Tracy sits on the bed, while Jeff turns on a movie. Tracy asks what the barrel in the corner is for. Tracy is afraid, so he tries to leave, but Jeff stops him. Tracy sees the blood on the mattress and is afraid for his life. For survival, Tracy calms himself down and tries to seduce Jeff. It only works a little before Jeff gets suspicious. By this time, Jeff expects Tracy to be fully drugged, but Tracy only took a small sip of his drink, so Tracy is fully awake. Tracy tells Jeff that he should take photos of him, using his dance moves to seduce him. Jeff then goes to the other room to grab the camera. Just as Tracy is about to rush to leave, Jeff is already back with the camera. Jeff takes a couple of photos, then tells Tracy that they need to go back in the room to watch the movie. Tracy is very scared. Jeff moves closer to Tracy to listen to his heartbeat. He tells Tracy that he's going to eat his heart. Eventually, Tracy is able to smash Jeff's head with a lampshade and tries to escape. He has trouble with the locked door and Jeff is able to catch him. Luckily Tracy is able to hit him again, then finally escapes, screaming for help. Glenda looks out the hallway and sees Jeff, but immediately goes back inside. Tracy runs outside screaming for help while Jeff nonchalantly goes back into his apartment. Cops finally find Tracy in the alleyway, but they're a bit suspicious of him, especially since he has handcuffs on. The two cops approach Tracy readying their guns at their holsters, and Tracy tries to explain the situation. The two cops, along with Tracy, go to Jeff's apartment. Jeff tries to lie his way out of it. The cops ask for the keys to the handcuffs and asks if they can go into the apartment. Jeff surprisingly lets them in, and the cops are immediately repulsed by the smell. One of the cops goes into his bedroom to look for the keys and notices the blood on the mattress and the large barrel. Jeff tries to go into the dresser where the handcuff keys are, but the cop decides to do it. He finds the key, but also finds photos of dead men. Jeff tries to escape, but the cops arrest him. Tracy is relieved. Jeff whispers for the things he's done, he should be dead. The neighbors all gather to watch Jeff get arrested. Glenda yells at the cops, saying she kept calling them, and the cops never did anything about Jeff. She wonders what the cops found in his apartment. Jeff's father Lionel goes to the police station, and the police have to give him the bad news. Lionel admits that his son was always a strange boy. He mentioned the divorce negatively affecting Jeff when he was just 18. Lionel thinks Jeff's hernia operation may have caused brain damage. Lionel assumes Jeff only attempted to kill Tracy. The cops tell him that Jeff committed multiple murders. They tell him there was a human head in the refrigerator, 2 plastic bags in the freezer containing a human heart, one that has male genitalia. In the bedroom, there were 5 skulls, knives, hammers, Polaroids documenting everything, and a 57-gallon barrel filled with acid. Inside were 3 torsos and other body parts. They also tell him that Jeffrey ate some of his victims. The cops leave Lionel and he immediately cries. Meanwhile, Glenda snoozes as the news reports about Dahmer. She sees a ton of people flocking around the apartment building. Then cops tell everyone at the apartment complex that they need to leave because the entire building is a crime scene. News reporters are covering Jeffrey Dahmer's crimes. All victims were men. The news even wonders how Jeff was able to keep committing these crimes when he was a convicted child sex offender. Meanwhile, Jeff is booked and sits with detectives to tell them all of his crimes. They wonder why Jeff committed all the crimes and wonder why he kept the body parts. In 1966, a young Jeffrey Dahmer rides the bus home. His baby brother David is crying at home while his mom Joyce is laying in bed almost dead. She tried to unalive herself, but luckily Jeff called the ambulance. Lionel comes home and says Joyce is just doing it for attention. Later, Joyce and Lionel fight because Lionel is never home. Lionel criticizes Joyce for constantly being on medication. Jeff gives his teacher a jar of tadpoles as a gift. One of the kids, Kevin, gets the jar of tadpoles from the teacher. Then later Jeff screams at Kevin for taking the jar from the teacher. After school, Jeff follows Kevin home and steals the jar. He decides to pour motor oil into the jar and watches the tadpoles slowly dying. One afternoon, Lionel finds a dead opossum under their house. Jeff is very curious about the dead animal. Eventually, Jeff gets so serious he wants to get into taxidermy, so his dad shows him the ropes. They go around looking for roadkill to dissect. They play with the raccoon's intestine and heart.